Okay, well, good day, guys. We've got Moy Santana and Finalversion3 in the building, Fase Bipolar. Now, let's just start from the beginning, alright? Okay, can you guys tell me a little bit about your upbringing in Valencia and how you got into music?
Our upbringing, did you say education?
Yeah, like, what was it like growing up in Valencia, you know, as a kid? What was everything a little bit like?
Yeah, first.
I didn't upbringing in Valencia. I'm from Orihuela. It's a town from Alicante, another big city of Spain. But my town is a small one. And I grew up there. And when I was 17, I came to Valencia to study fine arts. But after 1 year and a half, I thought that this wasn't my life, and I preferred to make some music, and started to go to clubs. And then I came here to Millenia Estudios, and I studied a course of production, electronic music production, and I started to DJ in clubs. And then after that, I started to work here in Millenia. This is a production school and a recording studio, and more or less this is my story.
Very nice. What about Moy?
I was a geeky child. I always loved computers and machines since I was a child. So in 90s in Valencia was a really big scene called La Ruta del Bacalao. And I was very child and I couldn't get into the clubs, but I started to do my own mixtapes with the radio player and turntable of my parents. So I was maybe 14, 15 years old, so 25, 26 years later I still enjoying doing the same for everyone who likes it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very nice. So, how did you guys first get into music, and was techno first music you got into, or did you transition from another genre? Go.
I started into music, into electronic music, because my uncle was into DJing. He was playing the sound of La Ruta del Bacalao. Sorry. Sorry. Can I start again?
No, go on. That's fine.
Cheers.
And when I was in my grandmother's house, I loved to see him and to listen to him, and I danced like I was crazy. And then my cousin and me started to listen to electro house, this kind of stuff. That it was in 2006 when I was 13 years old, and we love house music, but very commercial house music, because we're childs and we're not into the good stuff. And after that, I discovered dubstep and drum and bass music and this stuff, but it was like a very, very small part of my life. And then I discovered voice noise as a first thing, and these things. And when I was 20, I discovered techno, and I fell in love with that. And year by year, I'm learning, and I'm developing my own sound and the sound I like. And now I'm into Fase Bipolar sound and my other project, Finalversion3, and I'm so happy with that.
Very nice, man. Very insightful. Okay, you did tell me a little bit about how you got into music, but were you always listening to techno? Was that like a predominant sound in the Valencian or the Spanish techno scene at the time?
I love maybe all kind of music, from disco, house, electro, ambient. So my first production were more housey, and disco house, maybe 10 years ago. So, and over the years, my sound is getting more techno and deep techno. Nowadays, my influences could be Donato Docci or something like this.
Very nice. Okay, so now that you mentioned the influences, what would you guys say being your main influence when developing your sound, and why, basically?
As I said, I in a part of my life I love dubstep and drum and bass, and I think these two genres influenced me a lot because of the bass sounds. The sound of the bass that are always growling, and wow, the bass talk to you, and I fall in love with this kind of stuff. And most of the music I played are based on the bass and modulated bass and this. And Blawan is my favorite artist so far, and he came from post dubstep. In UK there was a very big scene of dubstep and drum and bass and this, and he came from that, and you can hear it in his music, and I love everything he made in his life. And similar to this kind of bass are Rose. I love it, but it's so deep, it's so serious, but I love the sound of his basses, and I think they are my favorite too, and Feral too. Who more? Peter Van Huysen, Donato Docci too, and I think this is the most relevant artist.
Nice.
I'm always researching of new artists and new sounds, because electronic music is always in constant evolution. I think I'm not a super fan of only one artist like you, of Blawan.
I'm in love with Blawan.
He masturbates with Blawan. And every time I discover different artists and sounds, was my way of perception and music evolves. So for me, every project has something special, new special, and it's new learning.
But what about, okay, you might not be able to name like a certain artist, but what about certain like techno genre, like
Or labels.
or labels?
Sungate Records.
Klaxon for Steffi. DBS1.
Or Stroboscopic Artifacts. Delsin Records.
Delsin. Wow.
Do you guys know?
I'm blank.
Do you guys know Involve Records at all?
Yes.
Very nice.
It's
Very
from Regal.
Have you released music with them?
No, but he's a friend.
Oh, really? You know
More or
Regal?
less.
Really? Nice.
I work also in publicity, and he works in video, and we're into this stuff. And I made a video clip of a Regal release like 3 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very nice. Still raving.
I think this was the track, Still Raving. No, Trade Generation.
Okay. I don't know all of Regal's like music and stuff, but
We met him in Greece Mule.
oh, really?
He lost the airplane.
What happened?
No. We can talk about this.
Okay. Are you sure?
I'm so sure.
Okay. Okay, Griesmühle, nice that you mentioned that. That used to be my favorite club in Berlin.
It's so cool.
It's the best club, man. But okay, so let's talk a little bit about your latest, like your guys' latest projects. I saw there's been a project released by HD Substance called Filtration Layers. You guys have remixed 2 of those songs.
Yes.
Mind breaking a little bit down, like how that came about and what the actual sense of the project is?
It has been a very big honor to remix HD Substance, because he's one of the first techno artists in Spain, and he's one of the most important artists of our scene.
Mm-hmm.
He is also a teacher in another school that is not Millenia.
Mm-hmm.
And
no publicity.
yeah. And he's so cool and a hard worker, a very hard worker. And when Sungate talked to him about remixing us, he was like, cool, because he has give us support in some EPs.
Mm-hmm.
And for us has been a very good experience. We move his track to our sound, slowing down, making more spatial, and I think there are very good tracks in that EP.
For sure. You know, I actually I've listened to it today. Very nice. What about the? I can't even know. I don't even know how to pronounce this, but D105 / Felix.
It's Dios.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Dios
okay. It's supposed to be
Dios
it's
is
God.
It's God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could you
because
explain the title?
Exactly.
When we were producing this track, we observed that the sound of the bass were talking to us and saying, "Soy Dios, I'm God." It looks like this, and we love this kind of title with numbers or letters, and then we think, oh, this has to be called Dios.
Okay, okay,
numbers.
Nice.
And Felix, it's worse.
No, it
Felix,
can't be worse.
It's really difficult.
When we were producing, I say, it remembered to me a track from Rex the Dog. Rex the Dog is an electro producer, so cool. And when I have to save the project, I write Rex the Dog, Felix the Cat. That's the
What? Okay, super cool, man. Okay, so there's a lot of broken beat. It's kind of progressive, right? How did the project come about? What does it represent? Well, now coming from, you know, knowing where the name comes from, I'm not sure if it represents much, but what does it represent, and how did the project come about?
I think the name are not representing the tracks, because we just want to make good music, to focus on the studio and make all the things we can as better as we can. So when we begin a new project, we are not thinking too much things that are not the sound, the music, the vibe we want to to show to the world. And I think it's easy for us because we work together very good and very comfortable. And Moy has a lot of good machines in his studio, and I have here very good speakers to mix it. And I don't know how much to say.
Few times where we are in the same mood, producing.
Yep.
We look like itchy and scratchy.
You do look a little bit like Itchy and Scratchy.
When we aren't in the same mood, Itchy and Scratchy, totally. And better is stop production and drink beer. It's the better option.
Okay, understood. So you guys had Eric Cloutier on that EP you released. One of my favorite ambient producers for sure. I don't know if you guys know this collective in Berlin called Patterns of Perception at all.
I don't know.
Patterns of Perception. They hold parties in Ulm and in About Blank once a month, like their residents. And a couple of times they've brought over Eric. I've seen him there. Massive, like
yes,
massive.
It's so cool in DJing and producing.
He's really talented individual for sure. So, how did you guys get him on the mix?
Because he gave us support in the other releases, and he said he loves our music, so we think, well, let's get a remix from him. And that's the thing. He said, oh, cool, and I think he was very happy with the remix because it did a total different song.
Yeah.
And he's so cool with that because he has total freedom to make what he wants. So we are so happy with this. And there are 3 very good tracks in this EP, so we are so happy.
Very nice. So what does blooded mean? Because you like in YouTube it's found as Eric Cloutier's blooded remix or something like that.
I don't know.
Bloated.
A strong blooder.
Yeah.
Strong, exactly.
A strong blooder is like como una lija. It's like I don't know why he put this.
Okay.
But a strong blooder is like something.
It's like distorted or something like that.
More or less, it's a tool for the good blooder, and you
For the wood.
for the wood.
Yeah, I know what
I
you mean.
don't know what's the name.
Sandpaper.
Yes,
okay.
that cool
Okay.
kind of thing. And I think because of the track was so different, and it was acid and like abrasive. Abrasive is a word.
Aggressive, yeah.
Aggressive, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think he put this. We didn't. Ask.
He put it. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
he put it.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Now to move on to the next point. So I wanted to move on to Club Gordo, right? So what's the story and concept based around the club, and can you describe a little bit about, the music and the vibe, the kind of people that you're trying to attract to in Valencia as well?
Cool. Club Gordo is my project with my partners Fausto and Vladimir Dinamo. Fausto and I were making different parties called Reflected in another club in Valencia, and we know Vladimir Dinamo, that is a very old guy. No, he's a man who has involved with electronic music in Valencia since 20 years. He was resident in one of the best clubs we had, Le Club, and then he was promoter and resident in Excuse Me. And he made parties called Ritmo with Nina Kravitz and this stuff. And he has a partner called Size that was leaving the DJ scene and was because he wants to focus on his band Jupiter Lion. It's a very cool band. And so Vladimir need a new partner. And he was following me because of my parties with Fausto and at Reflected, and he one day write me to know if I could help him with Club Gordo. That was Club Gordo was 1 year earlier than my operation.
Then you're sorry?
Yes, I'm going to repeat.
Okay.
When I came into Club Gordo was founded too. Was founded by Saiz and Vladimir Dinamo, and then Saiz left, and Vladimir Dinamo called me, and then with Fausto, I told him, I'm with Fausto. We have to be 3 guys in the operation, and then we start to think that we need to make another club. Club Gordo was a good club with good music, but without any different things from other clubs. So we think that we should forbid photos and videos, and all the artists has to be secret. So you are going to the club to listen music, but you don't know the artist, and you have to trust in the promoters and not in the big names. And we started like this, and we're now 4 years or 5, and we grew. We started a label called Gordo Tracks. We make parties in Madrid and Barcelona. We play as Club Gordo Sociedad Ilimitada and in 2 festivals. and more or less that's the thing. We're now without clubs,
Mhm.
and we're not now into DJing because of the COVID-19, but we will be back soon.
Shit. Okay. Yeah. Nice concept. Is the reason why you can't take pictures and stuff like that same reason as in Berlin? Because people just go crazy and take mad drugs and stuff.
We prefer to not taking to forbid pictures and videos, because when the people are more into the mobile phone than in the dance floor, the vibe is horrible.
Understood. Yeah.
So that's the main reason, because we want you to focus on the music, on the experience, because you can be with your mobile phone with Instagram stories all the week, but when you came to our club, we want you to express yourself as a dancer, as a clubber, and that's the thing.
Totally understand it, and it makes complete sense. Okay, so the thing is, in Berlin, for instance, Griesmühle, Berghain, and all those clubs, the reason why, at least German people have told me, the reason why you're not allowed to take pictures and videos is because it's like a place for people that maybe are not so accepted by society, like maybe queer people, LGBTQ, maybe people from minorities, people of color, Asian people and stuff like that, so they can be themselves in Berghain. They can be a lawyer during the week, and then on the weekend they can just go crazy.
So important,
so that's also
if you can be exposed to the social media of a person that know you personally, you don't have freedom.
Yeah.
So I think this is very important.
For sure. Okay, nice.
Esta es el karma.
Okay, guys. So, let's move on with Club Gordo again, because I'd like to know what its place in the Valencian techno scene is. Are you trying to fit? Are you trying to grab how do you say it? Sorry. Is Club Gordo trying to appeal to a certain public in Valencia where no other club can offer that kind of music? You know what I'm saying?
Totally agree. When we started the project, we were thinking about those people that hasn't got a club in Valencia to feel comfortable, to like the music, to like the ambient, the public. And we're not trying to fight with other clubs, because the club, if you fight two other clubs, it's like more difficult than create a new public. I think because we were unknown. We were in a small club with a limited sound system, and we tried to create a new public. Based on our social media, on our in our proposal, secretaries and this stuff, and I think that we just want people who want to be in a good party, in a good mood, respecting each other's, listening to good music without know the names of the artist, and listen to different kinds of techno, maybe deep techno, maybe a harder one, and sometimes we don't do techno. We're more there are nights that we're into EBM or electro, and in house music sometimes, but focus on techno. But we just want people who has the ears open. Yes, Valencia needs more clubs, need more proposals, and need better sound system, and
Better government.
So when you make a different thing than the other ones, you have the chance to create a new public. If you want to make the same thing that is has been doing the last 20 years, you're gonna have the same public, and you're gonna fight to the other clubs that are established. So I think it's important to make different things. Valencia has some years ago has a very very incredible rave scene.
Oh really?
But one of the best in Spain, like raves with 10,000 people.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Like how was that?
How?
Yeah,
there are a lot of collectives. One of the best one are Colectivo Comaquino. One of the DJs of Comaquino is my workmate in here in Millenia, Chucky. He was resident in Barraca too in the 20,000, the beginning of the 20,000s. And they're making parties incredible with some collectives of Europe, Spiral Tribe and this kind of thing. And Valencia has a very 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 big scene of raves, including not outside of the city, you know, inside of the city in big garage and this stuff. Subterranean and I would love to live that scene, but I was a child and I wasn't living here. But when I think what different epoch I would like to live, I think this is
well, like in the 90s or something.
90s and
2000s.
Obviously La Ruta del Bacalao was the most important electronic movement in Valencia and maybe in Spain, and I would love to live that and live the beginning of the rave scene.
Okay, yeah, no, for sure. Okay, so do you guys mind talking a bit on the management and label situation, a bit about Sungate Records, New Rhythmic, and stuff like that?
I need to say, I hope Pablo will be the mayor of the city as soon as possible.
I'm trying.
Okay, so Sungate. Sungate is my project with my partner Fran and Abel. Fran is the manager, I am the A&R, and Abel is the magic illustrator. Okay, so we started the label 4 years ago, and despite the situation, we are on our best moment, music ways. So in the coming month, we will release a lot of music in digital and vinyl, by newcomers and consolidated artists like Comforts or Huber, more, and Fase Bipolar.
Okay, so wait, just one sec. Could you guys talk a little bit about how Fase Bipolar came about and maybe what the upsides and downsides of having a duo are?
A friend of us present ourselves. It's Eloy, a very good friend, and Moy, as you will know, is a lot older than me, and we didn't know in our youth, but when we know, I know that he was a very a very well-known artist. A person with a lot of culture about music in all styles possible. And he's also very rich, and he has a lot of machines in his studio. But when we know, he told me that he didn't use too much, and if I want, I can go with him to make some music. And I wasn't into machines. I'm always making music with my portátil.
Oh,
laptop.
Portátil. Laptop. I'm totally digital guy. So when we start making music just for fun, it was like a very nice challenge, and we we know each other very well with the machines.
Mm.
So it was too good because we weren't friends, we weren't people who knows, and month after month we were making our lives together, and now we're gonna get married.
When's the wedding?
Three years later, thanks to Pablo, I am homeless, underground homeless.
We released an EP without being Fase Bipolar, Fase Bipolar, and with our names, but not Finalversion3. I was before Finalversion3. I were Averno, and then we released an EP, and we think that we could make better things than that. And then Moy told me, why if we make a duo and we search for a name and we start to releasing in Sungate if the music is cool, and then everything goes more professional for us, and we started making more and more music, and now we're here.
Okay, understood. Interesting story, man. But I think those are the best stories. Like when you don't know each other, but you're so interested in the same music that you just organically, become super good friends.
Yeah, it was so good because Moy teach me a lot of things about music and about being patient. Don't need drops and. I don't know how to say building ups and this stuff, very more chill, very more deep, and I learned a lot with him, and I'm very so happy with
and eat all my food in my home. Come on.
Just tell the whole truth.
His studio is like a restaurant for me.
Free restaurant.
Yeah. And I think I tell them what I teach you. To eat.
Eat free. Pablo teach me technically mixing and Ableton tools and this kind of things that I have no idea.
No, for real? Like, he taught you all the...
No.
Okay.
It's a joke.
Okay.
Technical mixing.
Mixing.
This kind of technical stuff that I love. And that's it.
Okay. So, how would you guys describe Fase Bipolar's sound?
The other day I write a few lines in Spanish, but I don't know how to say it in English. It's like the sound of a balloon floating in space, but it's an aluminium balloon inflated by a robot with stolen helium. Helium is this gas, helium.
Oh, yeah, helium, yeah.
Yeah, with
the one that makes
filled
it
with stolen helium.
With stolen helium. That's the most accurate description I've heard in my life.
Yes, it's special, deep, but contundent, with power, dark, but sometimes luminous.
Deep, hypnotic,
robotic.
Okay, very nice.
The Fase Bipolar sound.
I was actually listening to, I think it's your EP.
La estructura del silencio is La estructura del silencio. It's a very important EP for me because on March I released another EP in March. No, in May I released my first EP as Finalversion3. But the thing is that this EP was produced 2 years ago, and we were waiting to release it on Gordo Tracks label and 2 years later it came to Spotify. So I was like, I have a strange sensation, because I think I like this EP, but now I could do better than this, because 2 years I'm learning a lot of things every day. And when I released Let's Do Silencio, I was very, very happy, because all the tracks are being produced like since January to this. In the period of quarantine, I was like 12 years a day, 12 years a day, no. 12
hours a day.
12 hours a day. Producing all the time. And I was so happy, because I lost a lot of gigs. This year I started being resident in Madrid, and I should be playing with Rico, Tensal, Joton, The Horrorist, Slomy Aber, a lot of artists I love. And I was so angry with the pandemic stuff because I lost a lot of gigs. But I have the chance to write a lot of music, and this EP is very influenced by my roots. I think if this is not a cliche. Yeah. And the death of my grandmother, because during the quarantine my grandmother died, and I can't go to the funeral. I can't be with my family in this. And I was, I were like 2 weeks very, very sad with this thing. And I focus on production just not to think. And there are a lot of sound of bones, a lot of sound of, I don't know how to say, tierra. Earth.
The earth,
no, but not the earth.
Like but like the
ground,
the ground,
water, ropes, and there's a very famous poet in my town called Miguel Hernández, and I start the track Boca que arrastra mi boca, trying to make a track with his poem, and I record my voice and use this kind of sound that he write a lot of bones, ropes, the country field. And this, but that then I realized that were not very good techno tracks with those vocals. So I removed the vocals, but I leave the effects of the backwards vocal and this stuff, and all the track is like whispering, and with the sound of bones and this stuff is a very cool track. And then the first track, the second track, Funeral Translúcido, is for my grandmother, because for me were like a translucid funeral, because I can't see clearly the things, but I know that my grandmother was there. And the track has a lot of fear, and is very aggressive, and I think it represent very good my feelings in that moment, and more or less that's the track, the thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. But due to the fact that I didn't understand what the names were, I googled them. So, what's the concept behind the structure of silence?
This has not too much sense as a title, because in techno music there are no silence. I love silence in music. I'm in love with James Blake and this kind of artists, Frank Ocean, people that are not into techno, but I love how they treat the sound and the silence, being so calm, and I'm in love into it, and it looks like there is a structure in music where if you feel the silence, it's like when you've put white pintura. Paint into a canvas.
Okay,
it gives force to the other things.
Understood. Yeah.
And I love this concept of the structure of the silence. If you don't know which structure has the silence, so I think it was poetical.
No, very interesting. Yeah, I kind of thought a bit about it, like, okay, structure of silence, what can that mean? You know, how can I interpret this? But okay, very, very interesting explanation, man. So, what are your guys' favorite clubs to DJ at, and why?
Our favorite clubs.
Club Gordo, of course.
Obviously.
Obviously.
I think one of my best gigs in one of my favorite clubs was in Space Ibiza. I was working last 4 years as a filmmaker and DJing too. I was playing in the last season in the last night of Space Ibiza. It was a magic day and night.
Very nice.
My favorite club, of course, is Club Gordo, but I love Metro Dance Club in Alicante, in Orihuela, near Orihuela, my town. It's a very, very, very big club. It fits 5,000 people. It has been open the last 30 years, I think, more or less, and all the very the most amazing artists of the last 13 years was playing there. There are always a lot of newcomers and this stuff, and his programmation is very, very good. When I start to go to clubs, I love to be in Metro because you can be like 40 hours in a club. There are a lot of spaces. 40 hours no, but one day all the time in the club, and I love it. And I love they have 4 rooms, I think, more or less, or 3, and with different proposals, and you can be changing, and you're always listening to good music, and the people are amazing, and the sound is incredible. The sound system are always magical. I think the last time I played was with Louis Fauci, and I don't remember the other guy, Gaetano Paricio, and I played too with Oscar Mulero, with Roll Hard, with Creed from Token, and as a clubber and as a DJ, is the most incredible club I've been. And I love to play too in a festival called Manrusionica in Manresa. It's a very small festival made by people that aren't thinking on the money. They just want to make a very good festival in his town with the people of his town, and it's on the cathedral of the town.
Oh, really?
Around the cathedral. It's amazing. And I've been playing with Fango, with Luisa, with Angel Molina, with Cardo Pusher, a lot of very good artists, underground artists, and always is an amazing experience to play there. I've been with 3 different projects here. We have to go as Fase Bipolar.
Sure, man. Now that you were mentioning festivals, there's a pretty iconic festival, and I saw a story of yours, Parallel.
Yes.
Do you mind? Because I've also got mates that have been there. I've never personally been there, but they told me there's a before and after Parallel. At least that's what my friends said.
I think the same.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you mind explaining a little bit about that? Why is that the case?
Parallel?
Explain what the festival's about.
The festival is a small festival, just for 1,000 people, and it makes it so familiar, and all the people that it's on Parallel, they just want to hear the best techno music in the world, the best deep techno music in the world, and there are a lot of different proposals. At the beginning of the day, you can listen to ambient, and all the people are chill on the floor, and that's so cool because their families with his childs dancing. It's a very cool place. It's on the mountains of Los Pirineos, and you can see all the sky full field of stars. I've never been in a magical in a place so magical. You can all the sky you can see. There's full field of stars, and it was very beautiful. And with at the night there are a lot of, I don't know how to say it, these stars that are making phew,
Yeah, they're like flying stars.
flying stars outside the scenario, and it's so crazy. We were the last year and played Mike Parker, Rose, Adiel, Crossing Avenue, Donato Dozzi. It was amazing.
And it's an exclusive new. We will play in parallel next year.
No,
Really? You've got to get me a ticket there.
one day.
One day, maybe. Okay. What are your guys' opinion on Regal, SNTS, Hector Oaks, meaning big Spanish artists? I mean, do they represent Spanish techno sound? Do they put on enough for the underground scene? What are your thoughts on that?
I think the underground techno scene in Spain is really big. Regal, Hector Oaks is now hype, no?
Yes, headliners of every festival they go.
But we have Architectural, Oscar Mulero, Angel Molina, Edge the Substance, and many more.
Yeah, more underground artists and darker techno artists, but maybe not too hard, maybe more deep. Strato Aurora, Frank Campos, a Valencian artist.
Vendex is Spanish as well.
What?
Vendex? He looks like SNTS. You know SNTS, right?
Yes, yes.
Well, he looks the same, basically.
With the same, I
Okay.
don't know. There are two artists now from Spain.
Orbe.
Yes, it's too good. It's releasing on Minus on +8. And Richie Houghton's label.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there are two artists that I love from Spain from now that are too young and so humble, and I'm writing with them because I love his music. It's Blovk, BLOVK, and Oxígeno, like oxygen in Spain, but with Y. And the sound of these guys is truly amazing.
Okay, interesting. So, do you think they put on as much like Hector Oaks, these big artists, you know, Oscar Mulero? Do they put on enough? Do you feel like they're helping the underground scene as much as they should? Just saying, because for instance, the other day I interviewed this Belgian dude called Wanton, and I asked them, does Charlotte de Witt, Amelie Lenz, do they put on enough for the underground Belgian scene? And he was like, well, they could do more, you know, stuff like that. How do you feel like these big artists that are kind of like leading the wave help more underground artists?
I think Oscar Mulero is, in fact, the best techno artist of the history. As a DJ, there are no one like him, and I think he is really helping the Spanish scene, because he has 3 labels: Nepal Group and Warm Up. He has a management company, agency, is Paul Group. And he is always helping the best techno artists that fit into his style, like Quartz, Rico, Tensal, and a lot of artists that are... Tensal is from his age, but there are a lot of artists, young artists that are being put into the scene thanks to Oscar Mulero. So it's so cool, because if you want to bring Oscar Mulero to your club, usually he said, but before me you have to bring Rico, Psych, and this thing is so good because he make profit from his fame to help other artists, and I think it's very cool. Okay,
very nice. Do you have any thoughts on that, Moy?
I think the same. Oscar Mulero is a fucking god.
Fucking legend. Okay, well, we can start wrapping this up if you want. It's like yeah, like over an hour and a half. So just would like to know where you guys get inspiration from and what your production method and gear is, if you have any kind of, you know, scheduled method or something like that.
More or less, we have two kind of tracks. The one that we start together in his studio. I'm going to his house, I steal his food, I steal his drinks, and then we start to make music. We love a scene called syncusion that is very difficult to touch, and it is making random things all the time. And we start to record, and we are like 20 minutes recording, and then we hear it again. Well, I love this sound. I love this sound. I love this sound. We put together, and then I start to adding phasers, flangers, delays, and this kind of stuff. And then Moy told me, "This is too aggressive for Fase Bipolar. chill, please." and then when we have a good track incoming, we develop the structure, and then we came here to mix it with these speakers. And there are a lot of different kind of production method. That is Moy telling me, this morning I started it with the machines. Do you think it's a good track for Fase Bipolar? And I said, I don't like it. The most thing I told is, that's so cool. Let's send it to me, and I develop the mix, and I develop the effects and this stuff, and that's the thing.
We finish all tracks here in Millenia Estudios.
The
best.
Just to wrap this up, unless you guys want to talk about something else that you want to get out, I normally finish the interviews with asking you to tell me a crazy rave or a crazy party story that you can tell us that you're comfortable with.
I remember always one thing that it was I feel so proud of. I was DJing in a club called Fire, and in a venue called Aguarela here in Valencia, and the sound was amazing, the vibe was amazing. I was closing the night, and there are a lot of people dancing, and I was like, when you feel that you're doing it well, it's happened sometimes. Sometimes I think I will kill myself if I was the clubber. But that night was being so cool, and I let my drink behind me, and then when I turned down, some thing beat me on the chest, and I said, "Oh, what is this?" And I was looking for the people, and what sorry, what the fuck? And I look at the floor, and I found a box of condoms and a letter writing this. This is for you. Please don't get us pregnant with your music.
With your music?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, what?
Wow, that's nice.
But at the beginning was the people throw me something.
And they didn't want anything else. Like they didn't want to have sex with you.
I make this with the condom box, and two guys in the front.
I was two guys.
Yes, I prefer two girls.
Oh, that's a funny one, dude. And what about you, Moy?
I think last year in Parallel Festival, Donato Docci was playing the last set of the festival. In the drop of the music, it started a big storm. So the people go crazy, dancing under the rain, and
it was so good because we think that when the rain comes over, all the people will hide from the rain, but no, the people that were hiding before, then go to the floor,
Yeah.
or to the dance floor, because it was a very, very, very good vibe. And then the flying stars, and it was like the perfect rave in our lives. And Donato Dolce makes the best session you can hear.
Okay.
The best set.
This storm was our first shower in 3 days.
That's why everyone went.
Free shower.
Free shower.
Free
And you don't even have to stop partying. Okay, well, thank you guys very much. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
It's perfect. I need a job.
Okay, perfect. I'll write your number down.
Being an underground techno artist in this pandemic scenario,
Yeah.
it's so hard. So if you need someone with a very strong arm, I can help you.
Perfect. There we have it, man.